on the Coach Mel Show, the podcast for freedom activists. It's so great to see you again tonight, and I'm glad you're joining us from wherever you're joining us from. Do please come say hello to us in the chat. I love to find out where you're hailing from, and you get to know some really cool people down there in the chat. So talk it up. And also I will read your chats if you have questions or comments. I'll be happy to read them on the show. So we'd love to have you. Welcome. So good to be here with you. I have a really, really fun crew tonight. There's going to be 4 of us on screen this evening. I'm very excited to introduce you to this group of fine patriots that I have met on Twitter. And I just keep meeting all these fabulous, fabulous people. I don't know why I was scared of Twitter. I wasn't on Twitter for the longest time. I've always kind of just been on True Social, but I'm so happy that I have gotten on there and come to know some of the finest people that I've ever met. And of course, y'all Truth Social people, you know, you're my first home, so don't worry. But anyway, who I'm introducing you to this evening is a group. They call themselves United 24 Vote Red, and I think I'm saying that right. It's their web. What's United 24 Vote Red? Yes, United 24 Vote Red.org. And wow, I am so excited about their vision, what they're putting together. Um, and I can't wait to introduce you. So no further ado, I'm gonna let them each kind of tell you who they are as I when I bring them into the room, because I'm gonna jumble it. So let's just bring them all in. Please welcome to LD in the top left corner in the orange and white stripe. On the right is Casey, and next to me is Brill. And welcome, all of you. Glad you're here tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so let's just go around the room. Let's start with you, LD, and just kind of tell us who you are and what this is all about. Maybe your piece of the pie, and then we'll go to Casey and then to Bro.
Sure. My real name is Brady. LD5019 is my screen name on Twitter. And basically, we're just a bunch of folks that were on social media, like everybody else, and tired of the direction of our country and wanting to be heard. And everyone else tweeting away and truth socialing away and complaining about the state of our country and not really getting anywhere. And like you, over time, we all bumped into each other, and probably because we were swam in the same circles because we all wanted the same thing. Didn't know it. We were unhappy, but we wanted to change things. So we all got together and we said, hey, let's make a group and let's support each other. So we made this group and we would retweet each other, and we still complained and did the same kind of thing. And then it kind of dawned on all of us, I think at the same time, hey, maybe we should be getting involved. Our voice isn't doing anything on Twitter. Maybe it's time to put the shoes on the pavement. And so we all started talking about volunteering and what we could do in our communities and registering voters. We just talked about it and we all started learning about it, and our group grew with the same like-minded folks. And we started learning a good deal about different things, about how we could save our country. And we started tweeting and posting about that. And the garbage posting stopped. And we started supporting each other and retweeting our information about volunteering and getting involved. And that went pretty well, but it was just us. We still saw we didn't have much of a voice. So one of our members, her name's Crazy Mama 66, she came up with the brilliant idea of creating a page that would provide links and information for volunteers to get involved in their communities that our group could support. And United 24 Vote Red was born. And we created this page. It doesn't tweet out anything except volunteer information. It stays clean so that people can come in and use it. And of course, we all retweet the page. We talk about the page. We promote the page. And it started going a little better. And then we had a couple more ideas. Maybe we need to reach out to some people that are influencers in this country, and especially on our side of the aisle, on the conservative side. And I believe one of the first people we reached out to was Scott Pressler. And he agreed to come on Spaces just started about the same time, and he agreed that we decided we would start to have spaces that maybe we could reach out to more people. And Scott Pressler came on, and we brought in about 700 people, and it was a phenomenal space because we didn't even know what we were doing. And through that space, we got all kinds of DMs and comments. Hey, how can I help you guys? How can I get involved? And so we thought we were onto something new there, and we continued to morph, and we said maybe we need to do a weekly space, and we need to reach out to people that feel like us but that have a bigger voice that would help our voice. And the goal was to bring people into these space so we could convert them into volunteers and doers instead of just talkers on Twitter. And so we started reaching out, and it was tough, and we still are doing it. And we eventually, got so Scott Pressler continued to stay a supporter of our page and continues to this day. And we reached out and we did the same thing with Matt Couch and Laura Loomer and uh, Michael Johns, who's the co-founder of the Tea Party, for people who don't know who he is. And our spaces kept growing, 1,000, 1,200, fourteen
Wow.
hundred people. So we were reaching out to so many more people. Our group was growing. People that wanted to volunteer were growing. We felt like we were onto something. So we said, well, maybe it's time to branch out a little and branch out at Twitter. And we started our webpage. And
Nice.
on our webpage then created an editorial where we teach people about politics. And we created a volunteer page on there. And we have people making phone calls for different America First candidates now. We don't endorse any candidates. We support all America First candidates.
I love
We
that.
keeps us viable past this election and keeps us on target of uh, getting people to volunteer. So that's basically our group and our page and our story in a nutshell. There's two things I think make us different than any other group on Twitter. One is the only thing we talk about is volunteering and getting involved. That's it. We don't talk about anything else. And the second thing, there is no leader in our group. We are all leaders. We all play a huge role. And as the group grows and our reach grows, we always have new things to do. And we always make sure everybody in our group has an active role in those things. It keeps us all
Oh,
vested and focused. So that's pretty much what we're all about.
wow. I love that so much. Thank you for casting that vision and for what you're doing. Well, let's go on around the room, Casey, and then Brill, and then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of this. Go ahead, Casey.
Hey, good to be here. My name's Casey. Um, I'm in Tennessee, and I got involved in politics about roughly 2 years ago, right after the last presidential election. That's when I realized what direction we were going in, and that's when I realized we had to stop taking things for granted because everyone's way, way too comfortable. So, we got to start being proactive. So that's what I started to do. Of course, I started out. I had no clue what to do, no idea who to contact. And then I got involved with the United 24 Vote Red group and figuring out what we're going to do. Just listening to each other, really, not listening to one party or another party, or not.
Having a little difficulty getting you in, Casey, kind of breaking up and going quiet and rubber banding a little bit. So let me come back to you, sir. Okay. Let's see what we can figure
One
out. All right. I apologize. We're having a little technical difficulty with Casey, but Bro, why don't you go ahead and step in and tell us your part, and then we'll try to get Casey figured out.
Sure. Yes. Well,
what
of course,
works
I'm glad to
best.
be here. Casey, are you coming through?
No, Casey's. We'll get
No.
Casey back in. Go ahead.
All right. Well, in the early 2000s, I studied in higher education, where I studied politics, philosophy, and economics, also psychology and law and history. It's generally a shortcut to becoming a politician in the United Kingdom. It's generally what prime ministers do, but they don't have any real world experience. So when I was younger, I used to believe that the people in charge of the party, the GOP and the Conservative Party, were generally people who were so highly educated and so highly informed that they'd be able to lead the Conservative movement into successful, bigger and better things. I then realised that they weren't everything that they made out to be. I didn't believe that either the good old boys club of the GOP or the Conservative Party of the United Kingdom would be that successful. So I realised, because I've actually met these people, and they don't have a very high opinion of the of their fellow Conservatives. In the 2015 and 2016 campaign, I helped the Brexit cause, helping to promote MAGA, Brexit, the Freedom Caucus candidates, and of course Donald Trump. In this time, I think we got a lot done in 2015, 2016, but it didn't feel complete. In the 2015-2016 campaign, a lot of the things that we take for granted now within the one-day Conservative movement is stuff that wasn't very common. MAGA was not a thing. It was very hard to convince people that MAGA should be taken seriously, Trump should be taken seriously, Brexit, the Freedom Caucus, etc. But it was really important that we had these levers of power in order to make change where we saw that an agenda needed making. But with all the establishment against us, with all the media against us, etc., there was no internalized mechanism by which we could make change. And back in 2015, 2016, you can go back to all the interviews, nobody was talking about the policing strategy. Because a lot of people would come to me, a lot of Americans, a lot of Southerners. It was the first time that British Conservatives and American Conservatives came together and realized we were facing a common problem. In general, the left see the world, they see Conservatives all in one box. They see the world in the same. A progressive from America will not see any difference from a progressive in the United Kingdom. It's only Conservatives that seem to have this issue. So it came to us that since we're fighting basically the same common opponent with all the same talking points, with all the same agenda, so it didn't feel like a different language we were speaking. In general, anything that a Southerner would be talking about in America, someone from the north of England might be talking about the UK, or a Tory from the countryside, etc. So we used to have a lot of people that would come to us and ask, is there any way, what can we do? We hear a lot of talk, but what can we, as individuals or set up a movement, what can we actually do to take back the institutions? Well, there's only one answer, really. All roads lead through the GOP. And through the GOP, you have to understand the internal mechanism. Now, unfortunately, due to schools not teaching it anymore, you've got to start off with the basics with many Conservatives who just don't understand basic civics. Sometimes they don't understand basic civics, and sometimes they don't understand the theory behind basic civics. So you've generally got to start from the very, very basics, even from separation of powers. It's a very challenging time because Conservatives don't know. They know they want to get involved. They know they want to do something. They're enthusiastic, motivated, but they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to speak to. They don't know. I mean, they find the GOP establishment every time they try and get in touch with them. For those that do, they don't want them there. They don't want that type of Conservative in their mind. I met these people. They don't want like a MAGA or a Brexiteer coming along and, shaking up things, wanting a different vision. And most of them are quite happy to work with the Democrats. They don't see anything wrong with it. What's the problem with consensus? What's the problem with compromise? Well, the problem is if you compromise too much, what are you standing for? And you get to a state that we're in now, where Conservatives don't own that many institutions, and the GOP either don't know about it, don't care, or if they care, they don't see it as a problem, to be honest with you.
That's very true.
And if they do see it as a problem, they don't know what to do about it. So even if you have to get them through a lot of stages
Agreed.
just to get to the point of where we're at. So
Absolutely.
And we're here just to tell people the basics. It's unfortunate that we've come to this point. We're essentially doing the job that a lot of the GP should actually be doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm going to add, and this might look a little funny for a sec. I'm going to add Casey back to the screen and make him smaller again. Sorry, just like I threw him up there all of a sudden. But so he's been waiting patiently back in my green room. But it's, you guys can see, all of my listeners, you can see now just from what these people are saying why, because you know me and what I do, why I glommed onto these folks are like, oh, you got to come on my show. There's like such a synergy of commonality of mindset, and y'all know what I do, right? Y'all know, my followers and listeners know that's everything I do is teaching people the basics. And so, wow, I'm so happy to have met you. That's exactly what we need more of, right? So I don't know, my screen is just okay, there we go. So let's get back to Casey. Casey, let's get back to you. And I know we were having some technical issues with yours on your side there, but maybe things are good now. So why don't you tell us about you, sir?
Okay, I'm going to try to start off where I left. So when I got involved, it was only a few, several months ago, but I've been trying for a very long time to get involved and follow the steps and everything. Nothing was really working. So I finally
Hmm. It's not working. Oh man.
out
I
the
w-
path to it.
oh
And
man.
to
I am sorry. I don't know that we're going to be able to make that work, Casey. Uh,
now,
no, we're really having some struggles with your connection, my friend. Uh, why don't see what y'all can figure out maybe on that end, Casey. And if there's another way. But for right now, we'll move on and hope that he can come up with a solution. In the meantime, we'll just keep moving on. Um, maybe you guys can fill in who Casey is for us if we're not able to get back into this. But let me go ahead and just kind of go off of what the two of you have said already. I'm so excited. So your group started out just, kind of finding each other on Twitter, and then realizing you had kind of the same vision and goals and wanting to help people is kind of the overall overarching theme, and that's everything I do. So here we go. Um, let's where we want to go from here. You guys kind of really talked about what your vision is and what the group is. Um, y- let's LD, and I'm sorry, you said your first name is it Barry?
No, my first name is Brady, and
Brady. Okay, I've been calling you
Brady.
LD this
No,
whole time.
Tom Brady. How can you forget that name?
Oh, well, yeah,
Or the
you
Brady
can't.
Bunch. I grew up in the era of the
Uh,
Brady Bunch, so I was picked on in school. So, we're still morphing though. We're we're getting a podcast started, and Brill's going to be our podcast host. And we've done one. It was taped. It wasn't live last 2 weeks ago, and we're just in the process of setting that up. And we'd love you to be our first guest, of course.
aw,
Um,
thank
and
you.
you came into our space last week,
I
right?
did,
And
yeah.
what did we have? So, we ended up with people listening to the recording after. Well, I think we reached out to about 200 people, but we reached out to about 45 people only in that space. But out of those 45 people, we met you, and we're on here, right? And we're now
Yeah.
spreading our word. Mike Engelman came in, who's
Yep.
running for committeeman in Indiana, and you got to meet him and have him on your podcast to
Mhm.
discuss really important what he's doing. The most important thing is he's doing isn't running for office. It's that he's collaborating with 4 or 5 other people to share resources to take back more than just one seat. They're trying to take back the whole state, which is what we all have to do, collaborate. So my point is we also had him on, and we're able to introduce him to you, and you were able to help him spread his word, and we spread more education and knowledge. We had someone come in who wanted to become a group member, and we had a new volunteer come into that space who is now making phone calls for Chris Rose, who is an America First candidate running for senator in West Virginia, very important.
Mhm.
Um, that he's one of the people we're actually making phone calls for in our volunteer group. So my
Nice.
point was, one thing we realized, we were getting 1,000 people in our space with these big names,
Mhm.
and what we noticed was they were coming in to listen to the big names. They weren't
Right.
coming in to volunteer or learn. They were coming
Right.
in because, Roger Stone's there or Matt Couch is there, and we all want to hear those guys.
Exactly.
So we started reaching out, making smaller spaces and sticking to our roots, which is volunteer and get involved, and really posting that on our spaces. So anyone who comes into our space now, they really want to volunteer or get involved. So
Yeah.
with the 1,000 people audience, we were grabbing onto 2 people. But now with a 1 or a 200 person audience, we're grabbing onto 5 or 6 or 10. So that's
Smart.
really kind of become a beautiful thing for us. We're really reaching out and getting that core of the people that wanted to volunteer. And so, we have the podcast going too now. We've started having candidates coming in now as opposed to these big influencers. And we still want the big influencers in because, we all have to be united. And we're really not united right now. So we're still trying to figure out ways like you are, how to unite us. And I know you're doing that thing with all the podcasts now, which is a great idea. I hope you're able to get them all together.
Yeah. That is something that I'm not talking about, but we'll talk about that off camera.
So
But yeah, so yeah, that's wonderful. And so one of the things that I think that we're combating in the space of uh, the patriot movement, there seems to be a lot of misinformation as far as ideas that our constitution is broken, that America is a corporation, and that Britain and the Vatican own us, and that DC is foreign soil. That's one of them. Devolution and this whole COG and well, I don't. It should be COOP, which is real, but some other. There's some states that are trying to get together so that there can be a ratifying of breaking into the Constitution to change it. God forbid that should shudder every one of us. And people are being sold that idea that it's a good thing to do. People are hearing that and being told that, hey, since we're a corporation, we're not even you know a republic anymore. We're incorporated, which you follow that trail and it's all a big con. Then you need to stop being a citizen of the United States. You need to go out and renounce your citizenship and become a state national or a sovereign national. But what is the end result of that? Oh yeah, guess what? You can't vote. And to me, that makes it a huge, huge psyop. And who started it? Now, there's a lot of my friends who are beautiful people who believe this and wholeheartedly. They are not, they are not the psyopers. I say everybody. I did a survey this week, actually, out on True Social. 95% of the people who answered the survey, and there was over 300 people, said, "Yeah, we are a corporation." And I was like, oh dear God, we've this is bad. But to Brill's point, it's just getting back to learning the basics. When you understand how the Constitution works, how the Constitution in your own state works, how all of this comes together, what code is, and like there's not these nefarious meanings for the word code. It just means basically like the Dewey Decimal System for cataloging. It used to be chronological, if you can imagine. Like they had to go find case law or common law chronologically. Can you imagine? So they created a system, and code is a word that they have for the filing system. There's so many things that are being said about flags that are not flags flying over all the different names of America. I mean, it's insane, but people are believing this because there's a void, right? There's a void that was created because we're not teaching civics in school anymore. There's really no information going in from childhood on to teach about what our beautiful Constitution is and our beautiful republic is. And so it's like nothing's there. Oh, let's fill it with this instead of there being something there that it has to contest with. So that's alarming to me. And I think until we get more people together to understand and do exactly what y'all are talking about, learning the basics, how to get involved, how your constitution is absolutely protecting you, how you are absolutely on the top of this food chain. And we're going to get into that in a minute. Until we really break into the hearts and minds of people, then we've got a problem on our hands, gentlemen, and we've got a very uphill battle. What say you, Brill?
You know, you couldn't have said it any better. I think it has come to a point. Okay, this is back.
He's on the screen, yes. Go ahead.
You're absolutely right. It has come to a point where if you don't teach people the basics, they will feel powerless, and when they feel powerless, they will unite with other powerless people and try and they feel like they're getting involved, but it's mostly just it's hard for them to understand that there are ways of taking back power for themselves. There is a way of being self-empowered. There is a way of getting involved and changing things. See, a lot of people don't believe you can. They believe we're beyond the pale. They believe things are too far gone. You know, even getting people out of that mindset is quite hard. So I do know a lot of conservatives are less than optimistic. There's a big crowd, but so I think you've got to motivate people. You've got to give them hope, which is not easy. But if you give people practical steps of improving their lives and improving their locality, and by extension, you know, the state level, then the federal level, you'll eventually be able to change America. But you can't do this alone. It's easy for us to say, get involved. But if we just say get involved, well, it's like, well, how do I get involved? You know, I wasn't taught this as a kid. I've worked all my life. I've never paid attention to politics. I'm getting involved now for the first time ever, and I don't know what to do. Can somebody show me? Where do I go? Who do I turn to? The people who run the GOP don't want me there. They want me to donate to them. They want me to vote for them. They want me to campaign for them, to put my time, effort, and energy telling my family that they're brilliant people. But they don't want me. They don't want my views. They don't want anything to do with me. And, you know, it's a very powerless position because they think if they get involved for the wrong people. So sometimes that you just got to say that the best way of getting involved is to find a position that you think is worthy of you. Now, that might be something as small as phoning up your local neighbours. It might be as big as getting involved in your local precinct, which is what we recommend. And of course, most people who start today, in 10 years' time, you don't know where they're going to be. They could be much higher up. But if you don't get them involved in the small steps now, the GOP will be the same as it's always been 10 years on from now, if not worse. So those highly conservative people, you need them at the even if you get them at the bottom of the ladder, they will climb up. They will change the GOP one day.
That's right.
And
That's right.
it's very, very difficult to get people to make that step because they think people who get politically involved, they're well connected. You know, that's not me.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, to your point, bro. You know, a lot of people are we have our lifestyle. We have our Monday, our Tuesday, our Wednesday, our Thursday, our Friday. We have our weekend. We know we have our patterns. We know our footprint. And so many times it's the fear of the unknown, right? Like, is it just going to change my life? Is it going to take over my life? Is it going to mess with my family? Am I, it's so unknown, right? But if literally the whole precinct committee membership, and I've said this 1,000 times on this show, is if you have time to go see 2 movies a month, you have time to be a precinct committee member, literally. But if you also start thinking of it as a little bit of a lifestyle change, you just work it into your routine. It's really not difficult. It's not hard. A great example of this, and I'm going to go to Casey after this and see how his mic is now. But my grandfather, who just passed a couple of years ago, God rest him, and he's in heaven with Jesus and the angels. He was a man of, I mean, he was a rancher. He developed housing, like neighborhoods. He built the house we lived in growing up. He did stocks and commodities. He was a rancher. I mean, first of all, just that alone. And then, but also, he was a minister, right? We would go once a month and hear him speak at Full Gospel Businessmen's the dinner, and he was always like a deacon at church, and he was always on top of everything that was going on politically. He was civically minded. He understood the process. Now, that generation really didn't talk about politics. That was taboo. So we didn't learn from him. We just knew that he was, it was indiscreet to talk about politics, unfortunately. Uh, I wish that we had been more open about that in our family. But I remember that he was a man of great repute. He had all these things going on. He had a great family. We were all a happy family as well. So I look at that and go, wow, we need to model that. And he just had that kind of wrapped into his life. And we need to just wrap this into our life like it's just part of our life. We are the party that says, I want everybody to leave me alone, small government, no big brother overstepping. I want my God, my family, my guns, my country, leave me alone. But what we've done in that process is said, see a government, and we've walked away from the government. In order for us to have the government leave us alone, we have to be the government. And I know that's like a big old, feels like a catch 22, but it's truly right. And I've said this also, if we built a skyscraper, we're the CEO of this huge corporation. And I don't mean corporation as in United States, so don't go there. I'm talking about like you build a building, you're a CEO, you build a huge skyscraper, but then you leave for 30 years, you're going to come back to, it's going to be completely ruined. And that's what we've done in America. Casey, let's welcome you in. How's it going
Pretty
up there?
sad.
Is it
Good,
working?
good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Go
Yes, can
ahead and
everyone
talk
hear?
to us. Yeah, go ahead and talk to
Okay,
us. Let's see
great.
if it keeps going.
Yeah, I think I grew up just about exactly the same way you did. But on that point, I would say that part of being a conservative is kind of keeping to yourself and being the head of your own family and staying out of everyone else's business and so on and so on. But being as that's how it sometimes
We were doing so
is
good.
that we kind of got away. Uh, we don't get involved as much as say liberals who will back anybody if they're told and they don't have any morals or any values. And we kind of let the country values slip away from us because we've had that mindset and we have kind of neglected it, kind of like you were saying earlier. So one thing I try to focus on doing is we meet a lot of people as we do spaces and among other things. But people really think it's so difficult to get involved, and they view like even the vocabulary of like a career politician really intimidates everyone. And some of these positions, they intimidate people, so they tend not to get involved. And so we're trying to make that a little easier. I come in and I'll go step by step with them and take them through the steps of getting involved and getting in their precincts. I'll find all the phone numbers for them. I'll find uh, their local Republican Party, and I'll find the phone numbers they need to call, the addresses, the emails, and I kind of walk through them step by step. Okay, you need to go talk to this person. Um, you need to get to know them, and talk with them to kind of see what's available out there. And then once they learn what's available, which in most cases I would say 95%, well 90% of the time, your precinct is going to be empty. You won't have any
Right.
leaders in the precinct for your area, so your area is not represented. And I guarantee you the Democrats are not doing that. They're representing everyone. They're talking to
Right.
everyone. They're getting every single vote. And so we're trying, or I'm trying to, with the help of United 24 Vote Red, and with United 24 Vote Red, I'm trying to walk them through the each individual step. And even after they talk to that first person, I'll contact them. I would say, okay,
Oh,
Oh, Casey,
we got him for a while.
we got.
What did you talk about? And they kind of will. They might make that first phone call, but they won't call back because of that.
Right.
We're kind of losing them, aren't we?
Yeah, we're losing him again, unfortunately. I'm gonna just I don't know if he can even tell we're talking to him, but anyway, we'll just keep him on the screen. Hopefully he
Yeah,
can stay
maybe
there.
he'll
But
come back in.
that was really great what he was saying. And I, you know, I just want to I had an idea. So this is me. You guys are going to get used to me as you get to know me. As people talk, I get visions and then I tell everybody about 10 different, "Oh, let's do this. Oh, let's do that." And I splat visions out to everybody. And some people are like, "Oh, I could do that," or "I could do that," or like, "Mel, stop. Too many visions." But here's one that just occurred to me while he was talking is each one of us who feel a little bit like, "Oh, I can do that," we should adopt someone and take them with us. Like Casey's talking about holding hands with people, basically helping them get their phone numbers, get their whatever. But each one of us as leaders, we've got to do just exactly what he's saying. We've got to be leaders in that we're out in front actually doing this too. Now, I realize, Brill, you're in another country and you can't, but that's okay. We need to raise up the people and say, "Hey, I'll hold your hand to do this." And then also, will you adopt someone? Okay, you go a couple times, and then we're going to put somebody with you, and then they're going to go to the meeting with you. And we do a buddy system, which would kind of take some of that intimidation out of it. So you see where my brain just kind of went. Like I just like had I saw this whole vision of this network of people getting excited about going once. We get the leaders to take somebody and then they get somebody to take with them and it spreads that way. I think that'd be fun.
You're a visionary.
I am.
That that's what we're missing though, isn't it? You talked about your grandfather, and Casey talked about what conservatism, and you both kind of touched on the same thing. You both said different ways. Give me my gun, give me my God, give me my privacy, and leave me alone, right? Um, but the the problem with that is we left our government alone.
Right.
And that's how we really became the silent majority. And that's actually a bad term. It's not a good term, right?
Right.
We wanted them to leave us alone so much that we left them alone and
Yeah.
we lost our local politics and our local voice.
Yeah.
And what Casey was saying, how the Dems have always held on to that. So, and to your point of walking somebody's hand is a beautiful thought, Melody, because I remember being a little kid holding my dad's hand,
Mhm.
walking into the voting booth, and I'm going to show my age now, and pulling the lever that closed the curtain, and then pulling the big lever like on a slot machine in Las Vegas to cast his vote. And
Wow.
he taught me about voting. Um, and well, we touched on that with the schools too, right? We've lost, you know, your grandfather, my parents' generation, my generation, we had some of that education in school, and there's one of the institutions we lost, and one I usually argue is the most important is the education system. And
Absolutely.
our kids aren't being taught about that anymore. Civics, they don't even know what that word is, and
Mm-mm.
politics, and I think that's why we have all the young people now on social media saying, don't vote if your candidate's not there. And they don't even understand
Right.
simple math that in a 50-50 divided country, we can't lose 10%. You know, elections are lost on 5% now. They're lost on 4%, 8%. Sure, there's the areas it's 25%, but those areas are lost anyway. But we must vote. No candidate can give up the other candidate's supporters on either side of the aisle.
That's right.
So, we've lost that whole understanding and the importance of voting and getting involved, and that it's our duty. It's not
Mhm.
just a right. It really is our duty and responsibility to get out there and make change. So I love your idea about holding hands, and that's kind of what we do. Casey does it with the GOP stuff in the precinct, but And he says what you say. He doesn't say, I like your analogy that it takes about as much time as seeing a movie. Casey makes it even simpler than that. He says, give 1 hour a month, so it's like half of
Yeah.
a movie. But to some people, they're overwhelmed by that because of going back to what Brill said. They're just, they're afraid. It sounds overwhelming. And that's why we offer opportunities to people to just go out and learn how to become voter registrars or
Right.
make phone calls from their couch and call the candidates and help us call candidates. So there are a lot of ways people can get involved that doesn't have to be overwhelming. And
Absolutely.
that's what we try to get out to people is don't be afraid to take your country back. Don't be afraid to call somebody up and say, hey, why do you like this guy? Why don't you like this guy? His
Mhm.
values align with yours, making phone calls and, or going out to the local, farmer's market and setting up a table and trying to register a couple voters. That's
Right.
not very scary. We've been, alone so long because like you and Casey both said is we've pushed away our government and conservatives almost hide from their government now. That's how much privacy we want. It's really a
Right.
shame.
Right,
You
yeah.
know?
A couple of people in the hello, everybody in the chat. Thanks for jumping in here. And I broke my glasses, so I'm squinting.
Oh,
But see, Buckwood, hello. We have to get back to honor, integrity, and morality. I was able to read that
ooh,
without glasses. Let me hold the phone way out here. I can see it a little better. Uh, and personal responsibility. Mel, ask let's see. Do they think we need a new party? I'm just going to answer that and say no. I don't think we need a new party. I think we need to, and that's what Bro was saying, and I'm seeing the nods and the agreement. We don't need a new party, guys. How do we think that we're going to create a new party and succeed with it if we can't succeed with this one? I mean, we've already got an entire party that is there waiting for us to just go do that party. Like we haven't even attempted to run that party. So why would we start a whole new one? Because if we're failing with this one, we'll fail with that one too. That's I'm getting the nods. Yep.
well said.
I mean, it's honestly how much does we've tried the Independent Party, the Green Party, what's the other, the Libertarian Party. People are trying other parties all the time. And how much money does it take and how much time does it take to stand up an entire party and to swing an entire, like, millions of people to get on board with that party if we couldn't do it with one of these other small parties that we've tried already? And yet we haven't even filled precinct committee member seats in the GOP. Literally, we're trying to create these other parties and we haven't even done our own party. we haven't even we haven't even tried. Right? We're not educated on that, and I think that's the point. So no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to even ask them. I already know they're nodding. So I hope that that answers the question for
I
you. But
want my
it's a
party.
question that a lot of people ask. I mean, it's not a dumb question. There is no dumb question,
No.
and I'm saying that just with a lot of passion. But there's no dumb question, and I think that's the point is ask the questions. And then as we talk about these things, we go, oh, okay, we all start having light bulbs going off and understanding. We come together in a consensus and start being of the same mind and tracking with where we need to go. And I really think if we started a new party, we'd want to set up something like, oh, precinct committee memberships. uh, why don't we just do the ones here that we already have? I mean, think about right now, it's the GOP and the Democrats that run the government. So how are we going to plug in a new one to run it's that would be, I mean, it would take an act of God at this point. I really feel like to cause that to happen.
We
Hold
have
on.
200,000 open seats. We can just take them and take our party back.
Yes. Exactly. So everybody knows I beat the drum of precinct committee membership, but I want to show a map that you guys created.
Okay,
I think we lost Casey again. Let me
we
take
did.
you over here to this beautiful piece of handiwork. Can y'all hear and see okay? Well, you guys will
Oh,
have to look at your own, but do you see
let me put my glasses on. I did not break my glasses like you. Um,
I can see mine. I can see that because it's far enough away from me, but this beautiful pyramid, we were on the phone, prior to we were on a call, us in this room. We're on a call getting ready for this show, and I simply asked for, I wish we could show people visibly how this whole government thing works. It's supposed to look. It's not the president up here. If you can see me, I'm in this little window over here. It's not the president at the top and then the vice president and then, the three branches of government, the executive, judicial, and legislative, and then all the lobbies and all the special interests and all the three-letter agencies and all the and then the governors and it at the top, and then us down here at the bottom, which is where we feel like we are at. We feel like we are at the bottom, right? It's like this. Look at this screen. This is where we are. That's us on the top, guys. And down at the bottom, what does that say? National Convention in the little corner? I can't see what that says.
Yeah, I think it says National Convention, and it's the roll call, right? By then, it's all done. So it's all done at that top level where it says local, right?
Okay, so this little map here doesn't really go from us all the way down to president. This is more just like what's local.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, basically the GOP or the Republican Party, or how
Oh,
it goes
gotcha.
from
Okay.
the voter all the way down, and that tiny point down at the bottom is the national convention where everybody says, you know, where the delegates stand up and say we want Donald Trump. So it really does
Mm,
go to the president, but it
right.
more shows the voting and the involvement it takes to get to the point of picking a president or a
I
senator.
gotcha. Okay, I was describing something different. I didn't really look at this. This is beautiful because
It's beautiful.
this is a roadmap for all of us in local right here. This is local. So you start at the top. You've got the voters, which is us, and then you've got volunteers to help uh, do things.
The
Now,
ground game. Yep.
yeah, your ground game. Now, Brill, I think it was you that said this, or I don't know, it might have been you, Brady, but talking about, oh yeah, it was you, Brill, saying, well, they just want you to volunteer for them. They just want you to go, campaign for them. They want you to give them money. They want you to do all these things for them. But unless you become a precinct committee member, which in some states it's central committee or ward committee, or I think up in Massachusetts it's uh, chair. There's different names depending on your state, but every state has these one in one capacity or another. When you become that, you have voting power.
Yes.
Now, we all have voting power every 2 years at the generals and the midterms. But guys, that's a straw poll by the time we get there. Do you realize that? Do you realize here's why? Because it's this right here, this pyramid that you're looking at. It's this pyramid that of these people that determine who's on your ballot every 2 years. What presidents are even on that ballot. It's all right here.
Exactly correct. It's
Brill,
interesting when you
yeah.
look at it upside down. I'm glad you said that the other day, Melody, that you wish you had the upside down pyramid, because Crazy Mama 66 was right on top of it. She said, I got to give Melody the upside down pyramid. And we got to show people that it's the voters, the volunteers, and the precinct that turn the crank. And that's why next to precinct and ward committees, we put the power brokers next to them, because they are the power brokers, because they're the ones then who start from there down. It works via vote. So if we get the precinct men in that are America first and put our country and our children first, they're going to start voting further down for the state level. And not to mention, they also play a huge hand in who gets primaried and not, right? And that
That's
counts
right.
for judges and anybody who is elected. And if they become friends with the local judge, no matter how good or bad he is, they all vote whether that person's going to be primaried. And if that judge is taking care of everybody, no matter how rotten he is, they're never going to primary him. So we need our people in those precinct seats, and then we can down at the national level, we can accomplish what we want, and that is have our agenda there.
Yeah,
Of course.
absolutely. Brill, go for it. I know you have things to say.
Go Braille.
Absolutely. Sometimes you can say a lot, but when you just have a structure, a visual structure, it really does illustrate just how much power is in those precinct seats, because if you are someone who is a career climber in the GOP, you cannot get through without the precinct chairs voting you in. You need their approval. So essentially, if you're a precinct seat and you're all Conservatives, the party will end up reflecting your values and who you are. And when you start to realize that, if you're able to essentially block any rhinos or career climbers, I mean, it's easy for me to tell you, well, this person's a rhino, this person is not a real Conservative. But when you get up close and personal with these politicians, when you're around them for a long, extended period of time, because a lot of the time they have to speak to you, they're kind of forced to, you get a real sense of who they are. Now, it's easy for somebody else to tell you this, but when you're actually involved yourself, your eyes are truly opened. And it's very easy for someone to tell you behind the scenes, this politician is like this or that it's like that. But sometimes you just have to meet them, and you start to see sooner or later what the real problems are in your local party.
That's
Because
right.
because people have a certain vision of what they believe their GOP is doing, or what they believe their politics is, or their background is, and they come in and there's just a bunch of kind of the old boys club, kind of I'll promote you if later on down the line you promote
Mhm.
me, and
Mhm.
I've got a bit of a business venture. We won't have it on the books, but you help me out, I can help you out.
Right.
And I met these kind of people. They're very, they're very skilled. They're highly educated. They're not easy to beat. But if you don't want them there running the GOP, then you have to get involved. You have to primary them out. You have to get involved if you believe you can do a better job than them. Anybody who has a incompetent GOP, or anyone who moans about their GOP for not defending their values, then you defend your values. There's nothing stopping you. Once you've got the information in your head, once you learn what you need to know, there's nothing stopping you. That's what I believe, and hopefully we can make that a reality for some people.
I love that. And of course, I'm having more visions.
Go for it.
Okay, so I heard I had interviewed a young man who is running for, let's see, I guess he's precinct committee member. Yes, he is a current precinct committee member in the state of Ohio. No, sorry, Pennsylvania. And he was saying, I just wanted to interview him. Say, you are a precinct committee member. Tell me how it goes. What's it like on the inside, so that we can get an inside look of that. And he was telling me off camera, and then I brought it up later, that they wanted to there were some of them that wanted to censure one of their legislators. Now, this is the power that you have. And every state's different, but a lot of states you have the power as a precinct committee member to actually censure, and that means you're basically putting a visible, like, it goes on their record. It's like a bad mark that goes on their record, and it's not good. Uh, if they are not for some reason, a lot of times they're not voting the way that their constituents want them to vote, or maybe they are. There's been an indiscretion, or who knows? There can be a myriad of different things that you can get censured for. But he said there was some that wanted to censure, but the chair said to them, to these precinct committee members, which this is where the pyramid gets going the wrong way, right? Because the chair is really supposed to answer to, yes, kind of, if you think about, the chair is a step above precinct committee members, but guess who votes them in? The precinct committee members vote that chair in or out. And that chair said, don't censure. We need to show solidarity in the party, and we need to have unity. And so he, and I guess the other ones are like, okay, we won't. We'll show solidarity in the party. And I said to him, so did you give up your voice? Did you give away your freedom a little bit? Did you feel like there was an actual oh yeah, that legislator was wrong and bad and needed to be censured? And I said, okay, so you became hoodwinked by a chair who wanted you to step and fall in line. And that is the problem that we have as a party is we want to be nice, we want to be kind, we want unity. Yes, we do want unity, but not at the expense of integrity and not at the expense of allowing things to go on in our government that absolutely shouldn't be. We need to put, if there's someone whose lack of integrity is as untrustworthy as maligning or doing anything that they're not supposed to be doing, that's who we got to put on blast and get them out. That is not the time for, oh, let's unify and just let this stuff keep going up the chain. So that's part of our education as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sorry Casey didn't come back in
He's
because
he's in the green room. He's not here on the show. Casey,
uh,
can you give me a thumbs up? I think you can hear us in the back room. Yeah, he can. Let
he's
me get him back up here again.
he's committee chair in Nashville, and his story is very interesting
Casey, tell
because
us your story. I just brought you back
yeah,
up. Let's see if we can hold on to you for a bit. Tell us about the committee chair. Oh, hold on. I muted his microphone. Hold on one second. Okay, now you're on. Go for it.
district chair, and that was even empty. And I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, so
Wow.
my whole District 14 had no precinct chairs or district chairs, and that just amazes me. Almost all of Nashville and East Nashville, just vacant. They're there for the taking. That's low hanging fruit we can take. Instead we're letting it rot, and nothing good is going to come of that. When good people do nothing, bad things happen.
So
So
true.
also the thing about the precinct and the district chairs and voting for the higher chairs and stuff like that. We also bring in the delegates. We either appoint them or we vote them in. And the reason that is so important is because the delegates are the ones that nominate or pick the nominees. So if you want the right people on the ticket that you want to vote for, you got to make sure you have an America First delegates. A whole set of them that's going to bring in America First nominees.
Right.
And the opportunity is ours. It's there for the taking, and the power is ours. I say this all the time. We have the opportunity, and we have the power to change the Republican Party, and it's right there in front of us. We just got to take the initiative and do it. Actually, get in there and do it. And we were talking earlier. If you have time to see a movie or two a month, you have time to see a precinct committeeman. That's true in most cases. I do want to also point out that you can be as involved as you want to be involved. So, as a precinct chair, if you want to call a meeting, you can call a meeting. You can get all your precinct chairs together. You can talk, and you can take that up to the next chair, and you can kind of force their hand to do what the people want to do because you're representing the actual people in your neighborhood. You're representing all of them,
Yeah.
and like in District 14 in my district, we have 12 district chairs, and all 12 of them are empty. So I'm district chair 14-4 in Nashville. So now when we vote on special committees and anything special that, you also get rights to vote within the party once you become a chairman as well. So once you're voting in the party, I'm carrying the whole district when I
Wow.
cast my vote. So I represent our whole District 14, all of East Nashville. I represent everybody. So, just being the single district or precinct chair in your community, that one single chair can mean the difference of getting a yes vote or a no vote
That's right.
on what you want to do or people you want to bring in or chairs you want to appoint. And sometimes I think it's cool that I'm the only chair in District 14 because I know the way we're going to vote. I know my vote's going to carry and cast over everyone. So, but I think it's also better to have the actual seats filled, to actually have that group that can collaborate and vote. That's what we were built on. That's how this country was made. And we need to get back to that. And we need to let the 1% stop ruling the 99%. And we
Mhm.
got to start getting involved. We got to take our party back. We got to take our country back. And the opportunity is there and the power is there. We have all the power as precinct chairs or district chairs. We have all the power of how that pyramid is made. So I don't know if you can see the picture, but you can see above you have all the voters. Of course, we need to have every voter we can. And then the second down, we have the precinct chairs, the district chairs, and everything from there down. We get everyone in out what chairs are going to become in the future or the positions they're going to take in the future. So if you want to control your future, you control the local level, and you will control your complete future from there. Also, you got to control the school boards and the schools. We got to get them back. That's really important. Our children are our future. We have to start paying attention to the school board meetings. Every one of them is you can view them on YouTube. So if you can't make it, please make sure you watch it so you know what curriculum that they're teaching and make sure try to do the best you can to keep the CRT out because they will come even though they ban it, they will come in and they will teach it under something else. I don't want to take up too much time. I just want to talk really fast and get a few words in while everything is working.
Well, it's working. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's great. And I wanted to say to that about the school board thing. I just talked with someone. My days are running together. It was either yesterday or today. Trump always throws my timeline off. Him and Tucker having that great conversation. But I spoke with someone, and she said that they took over their school board in their county in Florida, in Sarasota, Florida.
Beautiful.
Took it over, and it was completely Democrat, and they went in and they put up a whole bunch of people and so we're going to take this over, and they did, and they got rid of the who was over at the top of that, the top of my words are going away from me, the head of the school board,
Yeah.
superintendent or whatever it is. I don't know what whoever
Yeah,
that is.
well,
Superintendent. No, that's
superintendent of
superintendent of
school.
schools,
No,
but
that's, yeah,
whoever's
no.
the head of that, they ousted him and got America First in there, and they're changing the schools. Guys, it just takes grabbing some people, and I feel like we're gonna have an altar call at the end of this. Go ahead, Casey.
I was going to say all it takes is if you're friends with everyone in your neighborhood, you can gather up just a few people from your neighborhood. A lot of us are really good friends with all our neighbors. If
Right.
we talk to them, if we get 10 people together and we come up with one agenda and one way we're going to do it, we're going to bring the America First agenda back to the schools. Then you walk in there with your neighborhood behind you, or
I
or
love that.
maybe your like we do here. Block parties, you talk to everyone at your block party, and while it's still fresh, if it's time, the timing's got to be right. But walk in there with everybody that agreed with you and say, hey, if you agree with me, you need to come with me. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I can do that. I think I can come with you. And okay, well, if you're going to come with me, maybe you'll hold a school board chair
Right.
and be a part of it because just a few meetings and we're going to get to teach our kids what we want to teach them. We're going to keep pornography and CRT out of the classrooms. If you don't want your kid to learn about cutting body parts off, changing their gender, and being racist against everyone else, and come in with me and take that to school board, and you'll be surprised how many people agree with that.
Absolutely.
So one neighborhood, just one block. If you get the people aligned in one block, you take it over just like that.
100%. Your turn, bro. I see your brain.
Well, we like Bubba here, don't we? So I'm just going to ask one question that he put out, which I don't think we got to, which is, how do you check to see if there are any openings for precinct committee members and chairman seats?
I know that answer, but I'm interviewing you guys tonight. So if somebody else
Well,
here knows, I'll let you
I'm
take
going
it.
to I'm going to let Casey answer because
Casey,
he didn't
take it.
have much of an
Great.
Okay,
opportunity.
so I found that's a great question, and I found it really hard to figure it out. I also think I think every county is different. Every neighborhood's different. But what I did is I got a hold of our vice president of our Republican Party, and I couldn't. I don't know if I had rights to look at some of that information, so she got it for me until I came in to be a district chairman. But she actually is the one that said, "Okay, all these precincts are empty. Your story might be different. I think it's different across the country, but also it sounds like it might be hard to get a hold of your vice president or your secretary of your Republican Party, local party too, not state party, your local party. But it's not. Their answer. I mean, their numbers are normally on every local Republican website. If you go to the contact me list, you can find the secretary's number, the president, and the vice president of your local party. That's how I went about doing it. Is I got in touch with her and I got her to give me the information back on what was available.
Yeah, and so step 1 is you just basically go Google your local GOP. So you'll type in your county. Like if I was from Tulsa, I tell everybody Tulsa. So if I wanted to go look up my Tulsa County GOP, I would just Google my Tulsa, type in Tulsa County GOP, and then I would look for that website until I found it might be something a little bit different how they word it, but it's going to be a website, and you click into there. Now, when I was doing this, Casey, I was helping people on the show go through this, and like I get into Harris County in Houston, Texas, and it was like they listed every precinct committee member and every seat that was empty, like right out there on the internet. And I was like, wow, this is beautiful. And then I go to another county and you don't even see the word precinct anywhere on the entire site. One of them I went to hadn't been updated since 2019. Uh, so it's hit or miss. There's a terrible disorganization within the GOP, which is something we need to also fix at some point. But the websites are, there's no rhyme or reason because it's each county taking care of their own website, whether they even have one or not. So, I mean, I think they usually have one, but sometimes they're just not manning them at all. So, really, if you can't find somebody on the internet, find out the physical location and drive down there, right? Just drive to it. Go walk in the doors, talk to somebody.
And I think when all the chairs are vacant, there is nothing to update. And that's what Casey ran into in
Mm,
Nashville, which I think is important to
wow.
get out to people too, because I think a lot of people believe there's no way they can get involved in their neighborhood because I live in Houston or I live in San Francisco or I live in Nashville, and all the seats must be taken there because they have a population of 1.2 million people. And Casey's, proof in the pudding that
Right.
the reason he couldn't get a hold of anybody was because there was nobody there to get a hold of. And
Wow.
if we leave those seats vacant too long, they merge precincts. When
Mm,
they merge precincts, we lose a voice in the area that we live. So, in other words, if Casey's precinct in East Nashville stayed vacant too long, pretty soon it would be gobbled up by the surrounding precincts, and the people in East Nashville wouldn't even have a voice.
wow.
So that was why it was so hard for Casey, and he had to make so many phone calls, and he couldn't find any meetings because there weren't
There
any.
weren't any.
So get
Wow.
out there in your community, no matter how big of a city or how small of a town you live in.
And reach out to us, if you are having that much of a struggle, will help, obviously. Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, what else am I not thinking of, guys? What else do you wanna talk about?
Oh,
I mean, we could go all night, so maybe this
so
is a
yeah,
good
I mean,
good
well,
spot.
how
We've been
about
at it for an
the
hour,
one
but
thing would be if you don't want to do that, become a VDVR,
what's
and
that?
that's a volunteer deputy register of voters, VDVR,
Okay, question about that,
voter
though.
register. I'm sorry. So what that enables you to do is go out and register voters. You can people can change their address, which means you can clean up the voter rolls, and you can do that anywhere in the county that you're registered. And the only thing you have to do is you can't promote a certain party. So if a Democrat wants to come and register to vote with you, you of course have to take that, and you have to turn them in within a certain period of time. Other
Right.
than that, you can. So we've heard a lot of stuff about ballot harvesting and stuff like that. So once you become a VDVR, you can almost legally do that because I can actually register. So I can have somebody come to me and register to vote. I check their ID as long as everything's on the up and up and they're in my county, and I help them register to vote. I give them their receipt and they say, well, I want to register my mom, my wife, and my son too, but they're not here. I can actually register those people too. So And if somebody can't sign, I can actually sign for it. All they have to do is make a mark. There's actually a place they make a mark, and then I make a signature. But my point of talking about all this power that even they have to volunteer, to register voters and help clean up the rolls, which is a big thing Casey preaches, cleaning up the rolls. That's what's killed us in past elections, is that it's real easy to do. You can go online wherever you live and you take about a 1 hour course. It's a Zoom course, and you take a little quiz afterwards that if you get the questions wrong, the people who are teaching the course actually give you the right answers. And so it's real easy and it doesn't cost a dime. And about 2 weeks later in the mail, you get your package that has a lot of blank voter register forms in the different languages that are prevalent in your community, and you get your badge and you get your certificate saying you can go out and register voters. So becoming a voter registrar is a real fun, easy thing to do too. That doesn't take a lot of your time. It's actually very flexible, part-time, as needed. You don't even have that one specific hour every month. And then, of course, making phone calls. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to say the two things we don't want to forget about are helping to register voters, door knocking, and making phone calls for your local America First candidates are real easy things to do from your own house.
Yeah, for sure. A question in the chat is, do Democrats do a better job of filling these precinct committee member seats?
Sure.
Let me get Casey's volume back on. Casey, you have any knowledge on that?
Yes, absolutely. They do it 100% better than we do.
That's
Now,
bad.
if you think they're having their problem filling their precinct chairs, you're wrong. Um,
And you know what they're doing? They're having fun. Have you guys seen? I went out. I did this on the show. I went out and pulled up just the word precinct committeeman, and I hit images. One image was for a Republican one, and all the rest of them were Democrats, and they
Mm,
had balloons and colorful signs and kids laughing. And of course, it's so much of it is marketing. But then they're like, okay, when you're walking through your neighborhood, look and kind of, get a feel for the yard. Are there kids' toys? Do they have dogs? I mean, they're like teaching people exactly. They're having a party. Like, go grill and have friends over and watch a movie and talk about precincts. Like, this doesn't have to be a drudgery or like, we got to go save our country. And, this doesn't have to be somber. This can be fun. And they're clearly having fun defeating us at this. So,
It's the ground game. They kill us on the ground game, just like in our upside down pyramid, right? That whole section there. The
yeah.
ground game, they have beaten us for the past 40 years.
and plus,
Mhm.
they're just more united. We're always playing catch up. I mean, the Progressive Caucus, which is the federal level organization, from
Yeah.
there downwards, they're just really, really organized. But conservatives are little disparate groups all over the place. You might have this little, um, get involved organization in California, then Tennessee, then far away in Texas. Conservatives just don't work together um, as well as they should
Yeah.
for whatever
That's
reason.
100% true. Well, and like writing bills, who is spitting out writing bills all the time? The left. They have I feel like they have one of those, those machines that like you see newspapers like flying out, like they're flying out bills all the time, and we're playing catch up against these bills. Oh no, there's another demon bill about our kids. Oh no, there's another bill about we got to go fight this bill. Like, why don't you write bills? Every single one of us can write a bill. Y'all remember Schoolhouse Rock, right?
Right.
The bill. We can all write bills. Now there's the federal level bills that's just Congress, but I'm talking about your local level. We can write bills. You can go to ChatGPT, you can go to AI, and it'll write a beautiful bill for you. If you tell it what you want it to write for you, if you don't
Well,
know how.
you're absolutely right. It's easier than ever, I think, to get involved, to find out, um, all the different tools you need in order to be politically active, to form networks, to, you know, start your own political career. I think it's never been easier, the access to information. But that doesn't mean that there aren't people within the GOP trying to keep this as silent as possible. Because
Absolutely.
if you get involved, there's a good possibility you might vote them out. So
Right. They don't want that.
no.
They don't want to give up their chair. I'm
The-
picturing the Cheneys and the McCains probably starting as, I don't know if it's true, but probably starting down there in the precinct committee members and then just like funneling their families in the bushes, like just protecting
I,
all those seats,
I mean, you can ask anyone in Arizona. The McCains were a force to be reckoned with in
Yeah.
their heyday. I mean, they're on the decline now, but
Yeah.
you just the way they had the GOP oiled as there's a lot to be learned there. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were doing what they were doing, but of course we're not as well funded. We don't have as much media access. A lot of these people have been in politics for decades, so they're obviously more used to the system than newer people just coming in. So there's a lot of things you've got to teach people: how to form networks, how to get involved. But it's going to be a busy. 2023 and 2024 are going to be very, very busy, and there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do.
Agreed. I'm going to make one more statement and we can go out after this and I'll give you guys each a last word. But something you just said, you said that they have a lot of great funding. There is something that is demonized in the church and in the patriot movement is, how dare you ask for money? Right? And it takes money. Money is just an instrument, guys. I hear that and I think, how married to money? How much of a platform do you give money in your life to think that you can tell other people, how dare you ask for money to do what you are wanting to do? We can't do this without money. I don't know if you think that what we're doing, we do all this for free. And I'm giving substantial time. And these gentlemen and the ladies behind them are putting in substantial time. And we don't have to do this. I could jump off and be like, I have considered this week, I'll just be honest with you, I'll be transparent with everybody listening to me. I've been like, I could delete my Twitter and I could delete my True Social right now. And I could just unplug this platform and go live my life. And because everybody knows out here, I went from True the Vote, I went from the Dropbox season that there was no money. I didn't ask a penny for any, that was not a money thing. But then I got on with True the Vote. I had a full-time job. I got rid of that full-time job to go be with True the Vote. And then of course now they've been so circled up in lawfare that they had to let go of all their teams. So I went from a job to no job at all. But I'm still out here doing this because I am passionate about getting you guys the truth. And these people here in this room, I know that y'all have jobs, but also you're giving substantial time. I mean, bro, you're up in the middle of the night right now, sir. Thank you to do this. He doesn't have to be up right now. He's in another country, but he's here at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, being here with us because he loves America, obviously, and Britain, and freedom and conservatism, and wants to help us get free. That's beautiful. What a beautiful gift. So all of the people out there that are saying, PA Whitetriots, not us here, but I'm talking about be mindful who you give to. There are some who are out there just shilling for money and clout and popularity, but you know the difference. You can discern the difference at this point. But people who are truly on the ground, who are ministering to you, your church, you tithe at your church, you give at your church, that's accepted. You're tipping now. Everybody's tipping now. You're going to pull the same cup of coffee. You're going to pull a cup of coffee for me, and now I'm also going to tip them because now they're all asking for tips, even though they're not making $2.13 an hour and they're not serving you. Everybody's asking for tips. We'll do that. But if anybody in the Patriot space pours out their time and gives to you, how dare you ask for money? I think we're really screwed up there, and the left is taking us to school because they've got. And I realize that there's big people like Soros and the ACLU and all that, but we need to figure that out too. We need to figure out, how do we come together? Probably everybody here in this room, we don't have much money, right? And the people listening, but how do we capture that? Because without that, we're really, with even just, I think our mental attitude about money is keeping us, our mental attitude about money, about precinct committee memberships, about writing bills, about all of our different involvements. It's a switch in our mentality. So I just want to encourage everybody to start thinking about how you think about it, right? I'm not scolding anyone, but I think we need to start thinking about how we think about money, how we think about our time, investing our time into our country, not waiting for somebody else to do it. We all have I feel like in this conservative movement, we have a little bit of a socialist attitude that somebody else is going to do it. That's not okay. Last word, gentlemen, go for it. Anything you want to talk about? Just go around the room real quick, and then we'll save the rest for another day.
All right, well, let me go first then.
Okay.
So, a couple things, because I could talk all night, but
Me too.
I have
Clearly.
I have a big mouth. I just wanted to say a couple quick things. First, just a shout out to Casey. He has been instrumental in our group getting our name out there.
Awesome.
Thank you, Casey. You're a great friend and a great team player. You're just a great guy. And to Brill, you're politically savvy, man. You've taught us so much, and we appreciate you and our family too. That's beautiful. And Melody, thank you so much for tonight. You're amazing and supporting our space the past few weeks. And but I think I want to leave everyone listening with this uh, about what we're talking about. If you're in social media or mainstream media, out with friends, whatever, if people are asking you and recommending volunteering and getting involved, please do. And those are the kind of people we want to hang out with and unite with. And staying on that same trajectory with social media, if people are telling you anything else, please do your due diligence and find out if what they're talking about is the truth. And the best thing for you, your family, us, our family, our country, our party, our kids, and our grandkids, because I haven't found much on social media that means anything other than the volunteering and the getting involved locally.
Yep.
So I will leave everybody with that.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Brady. Let's see. Let's go with Casey, sir. Go ahead.
One point I wanted to make is you're right. Donating is very important. Don't donate to the RNC. I want to make sure everyone understands that. Donate
Amen.
directly to the campaign that you want your money to go to. If you donate to the RNC, it's going to end up going against the people you attended it for.
That's right.
So now, sometimes to get involved in your party, you have to pay that $35 annual fee. Uh, absolutely pay that to become part of your party. But other than that, just don't do it. And yeah, thank you to Brill. I wish you would come here and teach history, but teach your kids history. Teach your kids, learn how the government works and it. One thing they're trying to do is erase our history. The Democrats are doing this. They're trying to erase our history, and they're trying to also change our history. Now, everybody thought that was impossible, but they're doing it right now. They're changing our history. So we need to stop them from doing that. So please teach your kids history because they're not learning it, in school. I don't think. I don't know of any kid right now that's learned anything about politics and how government works, and that they don't want them to know. That's exactly how they want it.
That's right.
So teach your kids, donate, to the actual campaign, not the RNC. Uh, Thank you, LD. He always gets us, great guests. We have great guests on our spaces. You know, so many. He's got so many good ones. So check out our website at united24votered.org, and we have a list of spaces. This Tuesday at 7 o'clock, we have General Spalding coming up, and so check him out. And we appreciate you. Thank you, Melody, for what you do, and thank you for having us. And I appreciate everything you do. And for everyone who's watching, thanks for coming in tonight and giving us your time. We're here to help. So if you have any questions or if you want to get involved, if you need to know how to take that first step, get a hold of us. And like I said, I'll walk you through it and I'll help you out. So God bless you all. God bless America. Thank you, Melody.
Thank you, Casey. God bless you as well. Brill, talk us out, sir.
All right. Well, Mel, I will have to thank you for having us here. It is it's not always the easiest job, but the only reason we're trying to do this is to get average people, the normal public, involved, who don't always have the best resources. They don't always have the people looking out for them, and I think they're the main people we're trying to do it for. People who haven't gone to university, who aren't well connected, who aren't necessarily born rich. We're just trying to do it for the average conservative on the street that doesn't know where to go, that is motivated, enthusiastic, but they don't know what to do with that enthusiasm or that motivation. And we're hoping to put them in a constructive direction. And with that, I'd like to thank LD and Casey, because without you guys, it simply wouldn't be possible to try and do what we're trying to accomplish, which is much. But every second we spend on it is a second well spent. I think at the end of our lives, we'll be able to look back on this movement as probably the best thing we ever did.
Wow.
So yeah, thank you for having us, and there's a long road to go.
Yeah, amen. That's true. Thank you so much. It's been such a delight and a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to more backroom talks with you and collaborating and planning and visioning and vision boarding with you guys, and helping anyone out here who needs help. Be sure, if you guys, anybody out here who has a podcast, have these guys on. We need to get this message out everywhere, as many places as we can. One of my exhortation to everyone is, when you get tempted to get into a spaces or a conversation on social media that pulls you into which president, mine or yours, or corporation or not a corporation, or one that somebody tried to pull me in today was to try to pull my name into a conversation about liking Jews and not liking Jews. And I'm like, take it out of your mouth. We're not going there. Nobody ever better come near my account. And I have a big account on Truth Social. Do not use my account or my name to pull me into anything like that, or I will block you. These conversations are to pull us away from the work that needs to be done, and just capture your time. Like, if you're getting pulled into something and you end up spending 8 hours during the day on a spaces where it's just information in and information out, and really you're not getting anything moving the needle for our country, just consider that. That would be my thing to leave us with tonight. So God bless you all. Hold on, Casey, you have your hand up. Go ahead, sir.
One last thing. I'm sorry.
No,
I
don't
just,
be.
I just really want to get this out. So everybody has seen this lately. So you have your Trump supporters and your DeSantis supporters, and everyone is attacking each other. Everyone
Yep.
is badmouthing each other. Everyone is tearing the other person down the best they can. So
Stupid.
what I want to leave with is, do you want to take back the White House or the presidency? And we have to take the White House back with the president that is the nominee.
That's right.
And also, you hear a lot of people saying, okay, so either Trump or DeSantis, if one of them doesn't win, write their name in and don't vote, just write their name in. So if you go to your poll and if you write their name in, one of two things is going to happen. One, they're not going to count it, or two, they're going to adjudicate it and they're going to vote for the person that they thought you should have voted for, like Biden or Michelle or whoever the other nominee is. So, regardless on who the nominee is, and I know this is really unpopular to say, and I'm sorry, but it's the truth. We have to come together to take the White House back. Our party, we're not going to be able to do anything if our party hasn't taken back the White House.
That's right.
So please do not go and write someone else's name in. That's going to be a vote against us if you do that. And if you rather have Michelle or Biden than DeSantis or Trump, I'm sorry, but you might not want to vote. That's the only ones that shouldn't vote. Anyway, I'm joking. But anyways, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're right. And guys, in 2016, I held my nose and voted for Trump because I didn't understand yet, and then I fell in love with him. But at that time, I didn't understand. But what I realized was, if Trump's in office, then so is his cabinet. I have conservatives around him. I'm gonna have the picks of all of the, everybody that's going to be filling all those other positions under him will be my party, right? Versus if Hillary gets in, which a lot of people are like, Hillary, Hillary, Hillary. But then I'm like, wait, think of all the people that are coming with her. So I encouraged a lot of people, don't just think about the man at the top, just like Casey's saying, think about the whole entourage that's coming with the president and all the people that are going to be advising that man. So if it's DeSantis, if it's Trump, if it's Vivek, if it's whoever, remember that we have to get our party into the office. It's not about the women. Thank you for saying that, Casey. You're spot on. All right, everybody. Thank you for spending time with me tonight. This has been a great show. I can't wait to do it again. We will see you out on Spaces. We'll see you out on True Social. Rattle off just real quick your at handles, your Twitter at handle. LD, yours is at LD
50
5019
Yes, ma'am.
5019. Okay,
5019.
LD 5019. Casey, what's yours?
Mine is the letter K, the letter C underscore KC1. That's at KC_KC1.
Casey underscore KC1. So Casey twice.
No, a K and a C.
And then
The
underscore,
first letter
and then
is
your
the
name,
COVID.
CASEY. Let me
Yes.
type it out.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. Let me make. I don't want people to. I want people to be able to find you. So the letter K, the letter C, KC underscore, and then CASEY1
That's it.
with an at in front of it. Let me put the at in front of it before I stick it up there. Okay.
Let's not forget our website.
Okay. There is Casey right there at KC underscore CASEY1. Okay, that's on the screen. I'm covering up Brill. Sorry, bro. Give me a second. And then Brill, what is yours?
Mine's a bit easier. At Brill comment.
At Brill
Comment.
All one word. At Brill comment.
Yeah.
Okay, that is his right there. At Brill comment. Well, show please. No, that's the wrong thing. Show that one. There we go. At Brill comment, and then we had at LD5019. I didn't type yours out, but that was kind of easy. All right, and y'all know mine, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, guys. Where'd LD go? Oh, there you are. God bless you. Thank you. If you want to contribute at all, you can do so in my Rumble rants. If you guys want to contribute to these guys, where can we contribute to y'all?
No, you can contribute to America First candidates.
Yes.
That's where we'd like them to send their money to. Don't contribute to us at all. We got everything covered financially.
Wow, that's a blessing. Praise God for
For
that.
now,
That's
for now.
awesome. For now. Well, yeah, eventually. But yeah. All right. We'll do an altar call for all those who are going to stand up and become precinct committee members next time. But for now, y'all have a blessed evening. And thank you so much for being here. We'll see you
God
soon.
bless you,
God
Melody. Thank you.
bless you. Good night. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Good night.